Chapter 17 to 18. This was the first time that Baba truly saw Goku in a different light. Defiant that a Soul Kid would be able to defeat all her fighters, she quickly ushered him into the second arena. We need to switch arenas for the next fights. To the Devil's Toilet, follow me. Following Baba down the narrow road to the next building and up the stairs, they eventually came upon an old wooden door with a skull as the handle. Opening the door, a burst of toxic air hit Goku's face like a truck. He walked a couple more steps before he saw light and teeth at the end of the tunnel. He emerged from a devil statue's mouth and stood on his tongue that was elongated to touch another devil's tongue. Both devils were on a toilet with paper in between them. Looking down, he saw an angle of which only those who stood at the platform would see and couldn't help but pity the devil. Baba took out a juicy piece of steak from seemingly out of nowhere and demonstrated what would happen to someone if they would accidentally fall in. Goku couldn't help but lament for the steak as it sunk into the poisonous water, never to be seen again. "Come on in, dried-up gladiator, mummy." A large man wrapped in bandages came through the devil across from Goku. He had a permanent sneer on his face as he walked along the tongue to face Goku. Battle begin. Ignoring the start of the battle from Baba, Goku through his trash talked to the opposition immediately like any other good Samaritan would do when they want to win. "Your name is Mummy? Did you come out wrapped up in bandages or something? Your mom must have an awful naming sense," said Mummy. Had a look of confusion then of anger. "This is my alias. Alias, how dare you insult my mom?" Mummy charged at Goku in a fit of rage, but he was already in a defensive position. Cortex, left bicep, left thigh, right thigh. Mummy's punches were as accurate as they were fast despite Goku's taunting in the beginning. His burly body coupled with his fast speed was able to cover a lot of ground as he started to do chops towards Goku's head. Goku could feel the wind on his face from Mummy's heavy quick chops. No matter how fast Mummy did his attacks, Goku was able to dodge all of his attacks due to his small size advantage. Going under his lumbering fist, he did an uppercut to Mummy's chest. Mummy was lifted off the ground a couple of inches. Continuing his combo, Goku spun and kicked the side of Mummy while he was in the air. Airborne, Mummy flew back to his devil and crashed on its teeth, producing a few cracks. Mummy leaked a little blood from his mouth for the first time in a long time. He grabbed a loose piece of bandage and wiped the blood away. Both attacks put him in a very dire position physical-wise. His mental state was also in shambles after getting beaten up by a little kid. Goku looked at Mummy after he went back to a fighting position. He glared and exerted all his intimidation pressure onto the poor beaten-up man. Mummy's eyes suddenly whitened out and he passed out since all his mental defenses were down. Baba and Rashi were stunned at the spectacle before them. Exerting pressure was no easy task to learn. Mummy nearly fell out of the platform before Goku went up and caught him. He didn't want to see someone die for no reason. "Humph, you are one hell of a fighter. Get it? Hell in Devil's Toilet." Baba was laughing at her own joke while the next fighter came out. Here comes Devil Man. In comes a man in a literal devil suit. Equipped with horns, wings, and a tail, the black-clad man smirked at the little boy, confident in his win. Battle begin. Devil Man launched up in the air with a flap of his wings. He smiled at Goku menacingly and went towards Goku with both of his hands in a claw-like fashion. His fingernails were disgustingly sharp and yellow as per usual for devils. Goku knew about Devil Man's special abilities and didn't have any confidence in defending against it. He had to finish this fast and he had enough power to. Goku, in turn, jumped up towards Devil Man in a counter, surprising everyone by his actions. Devil Man, though, that they would meet in the center with both of their fists, with how Goku also had his fist in the same fashion but instead with closed fists. Just before they clashed, Goku retracted his arms and slipped through Devil Man's arms with his slim body. Before he can defend himself, Goku tilted his head back and rammed it back towards Devil Man's head. Thinking quickly, Devil Man leaned his head forward so that the horns on his heads were in between him and Goku. Although he couldn't get the spiky part to stab Goku because it was too far back, the extra protection gave him more confidence in his defense. His confidence was quickly shattered along with his horns and consciousness as he blacked out from the extreme pain. Devil Man slammed on the opposition wall with such force you would think something in his head cracked. Goku did not want to leave any variables, so he hit nearly as hard as he could. Jigoku has far expanded in strength than I ever realized. Baba and Rashi were stunned silly from the speed and strength that Goku displayed while Goku exhaled from the light workout he received. "By golly, you are one tough cookie." Out came a short man with a very odd mask with some white hairs sticking out. Even though everyone couldn't see his face, they all knew the shocked expression was also coming across his face like it was on theirs. Even if Goku didn't already know who this was, he couldn't mistake that mustache for anything. "I highly doubt I would win, but let us go to the other stage. We need an open fight to really test our limits. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. This is the best. We can learn everything about Goku from the safety of our car." A dog spoke to his companions that were in the car with him in a really loud voice due to the earphones they had on. What? The girl sitting across the seat from him couldn't hear and scream out like the normal person would do when they can't hear themselves. Scream knowing that you are screaming so that you can hear yourself when you are not supposed to. Soon enough, they started arguing, making the blue gremlin in the front of the car very agitated. It became very much a problem, so the leader swiveled his body to tell off his subordinates. Would you two shut up? They immediately shut up, not wanting to endure the punishment. However, they then heard a small thud originating from the front seat's floor. Pilaf then saw a shiny orange ball spill out of the box that it was stored in. Panicking, he quickly put it back inside, sweating at the implication that it escaped its cage for even a split moment. Baba complied and led everyone back to the original stage. Standing face to face, he couldn't help but think back to the familiar times when they sparred against each other and the guilt he felt for what he did. They were whispering to each other before the match started. Baba was looking at Goku mischievously while the stranger showed no emotion through his mask. They both did their bow to honor the other person in this spar. Like Goku always did. Definitely. Battle begin. Even though they were both standing still, they were both sizing each other up internally. Knowing that Gohan was a defensive fighter, Goku initiated the exchange by speeding over to him. A fist to the face was the starting move but was easily dodged with a duck. When Gohan ducked, Goku did a quick knee that was blocked by two hands that were connected. Gohan clasped the appendage that was brought to him and threw him to the other side of the ring. Goku did a few flips and landed stably on his feet like a cat. They both had a good gauge on each other's strengths from the little exchange that they had. Gohan started this time with a jump kick that was landing hard and fast. Goku moved his body to the right to dodge the incoming attack. However, once Gohan landed, he reversed his momentum and sped towards Goku's back. Unable to turn around in time to counter or block to Gohan's wide attack, Goku forced his feet into the stadium to plant himself. Cracks formed like a spiderweb on the square stadium as Goku was firmly on the ground, tensing his back muscles ready for the impact. Gohan slammed into Goku like a freight train, shaking the entire stadium but not moving the rooted Goku. Feeling pain with his tackle, Gohan was stunned for a little bit. Goku took this advantage and grabbed Gohan in a clamp, like a reverse German suplex. He then, with as much force as he could, brought Gohan in front of him. Gohan's feet slammed the ground, cementing his position much like how Goku was right now. Goku then punched him as hard as he can, uprooting him and sending up ragdolling forward. In a daze, Gohan had just enough sense to change his position and barely latch on to the edge of the ring. Climbing back up, he couldn't help but praise all the training Goku was gone thorough despite his age. You are quite the amazing martial artist, however. I will have to end this match now. Gohan rushed up to Goku with a blinding determination. He knew what this opponent was after, but he didn't know how he would go about it. When he was right in front of Goku, he jumped up to fly over Goku. He was anticipating a move like this and swiveled around to meet his aggressor. However, when he turned around, Gohan was nowhere to be seen. He felt something grab his tail in a tight manner, so he turned around to meet a mask right in his face. Turns out that Gohan used the afterimage technique to fool Goku into thinking he jumped when didn't. Looks like you weren't paying attention and now you lose. Goku started to limp like he was jello under Gohan's hand. You didn't train your tail enough and it will be your downfall. Gohan started to raise his hand to start harassing the young child until he started to feel something unusual. He was instead being lifted up by the tail. Goku had a snicker on his face as he flicked his tail up, launching Grandpa Gohan in the air. Gohan felt proud but ashamed at being played a fool by his grandson. Both of them started to do their most prized move to hurl at each other. Kamehameha! The two beams clashed in the air, but the one with advantage was obvious to everyone there. Gohan was being slightly pushed even higher in the air. Before he could really lose, Gohan conceded, already achieving his objective. I give! After hearing those words, both contestants powered down their blast until Gohan was safely on the ground. Gohan removed his mask and turned towards Goku. It's me, your grandpa. But you already knew that, didn't you, Dash? Just as he was able to finish his sentence, Goku already hugged him hard, making him stumble back a little. I am sorry, Grandpa, for what I did. Gohan had a look of astonishment on his face, surprised that Goku knew the cause of his death. Ha ha ha, no worries, my grandson. I know it wasn't your fault. I am quite content with the afterlife anyways. Goku was talking to Gohan a little bit about his life after his passing, while Gohan told him about his circumstances in the overworld and his visit. After saying goodbye to his old master and the esteemed person who brought him back to see grandson, he parted ways with them after a quick last hug from his grandson. After Grandpa Gohan left, Baba started her divination to the last Dragon Ball. The seventh of those Dragon Balls that you have? No Vigi. Baba started to emit some strange magic power to the crystal ball while concentrating. Before long, a vision of a car that was slightly off the dirt road smoking came into view. Odd. From what I know, Pilaf shouldn't have crashed like that. 120 kilometers over there. It should be near the car and is not moving. Goku quickly thanked Baba and left Rashi to catch up with his sister. He completely ignored Rashi's pleading cries to take him with Goku. Arriving in no time thanks to his Nimbus, Goku slammed down next to the smoking car. What he found tied on the car surprised him. Dr. Briefs? His sleeping figure's hands were tied to the trunk of the car binding him. Hearing a voice, Dr. Briefs woke up with a jolt. Goku? Dr. Briefs finally had a look of excitement on his face compared to his usual indifferent expression. Goku quickly cut the ropes that bonded Dr. Briefs, making him rub his red wrists with an irritated expression. Thank you, Goku. Before he could ask Dr. Briefs why he was here, the scientist's neck was wrapped in a chokehold and a gun pointed at his face. Stay back or I will kill him. Goku couldn't believe his eyes. In front of him was someone that he thought was dead all this time. Bob. Tall Bob, to be a matter of fact, as he had a scared look on his face when holding his hostage. Bob discovered the Pilaf gang after they exposed their location for a split second with his prototype small radar from the obliterated RR army. He hoped to trade the Dragon Ball for his life and beeline to them. Stay back, Goku, or I will shoot. He then realized the severity of the situation before him, and his face transformed from a confused expression to a deadly serious one. This only made Bob sweat more as his face contorted with fear. Why? A simple question with seemingly endless answers. I was always with Red Ribbon Goku. I was just a low-ranking grunt who got lucky with a job at scouting the powerful Brief family. I was just doing my job. I just gave them information and nothing else. Did you kill Bob? Bob's face immediately turned into one of regret. However, it didn't last long, replacing it with a look of resolve and fearlessness. He backed out from the job. We were in it together, so when he said that he didn't want to do it, we couldn't have any trails behind us. Goku had enough of Bob's drivel and with extreme speed separated Dr. Brief and his tall assailant. Hitting the ground with a thud, Bob looked up with extreme fear if the water leaking out from between his pants was enough of an indicator. Please, think of the times we had. Goku did think of the week that they got to know each other. Flashback. Goku nodded at the two approaching men when they saw each other. A standard greeting when seeing each other. The Bobs nodded in return before going their separate ways. End of flashback. A single tear fell out of Goku's eye. He suppressed his emotions and blasted him with a key blast, taking in Bob's scream of agony. I will always remember you Bobs as good people in my heart. The people in the bushes and Dr. Brief's sweat dropped at the exaggerated display. Seeing this as opening, 3 mechs of various sizes ambushed the mourning Goku. Goku had his eyes closed because he was mourning the death of Bob, and he still had it closed when he effortlessly caught the smaller mech. He swung with all his might and launched the small mech, making it crash into the other ones. The force was so strong that they started to fly to the never-ending sky. The Pilaf gang is blasting off again. After that rude interruption, Goku went back to respecting the pile of ash on the floor as if it was important. Goku and Dr. Briefs quickly left the scene on Goku's Nimbus and flew back to Capsule Core after explaining what happened to Master Rashi. The destruction that is left there was still present in all of its glory. Bob's body was still in the exact same position, weirding Dr. Briefs a little with all the blood. Unsuccessfully avoiding getting blood on his shoes, Dr. Briefs made his way towards his lab while Goku went towards the home phone in the living room. Dialing Bulma's number that she gave him, it rang twice before she answered. Bulma? Goku? What are you doing at my house? Did you get your fortune and get the last Dragon Ball? We are at the ruins of the Red Ribbon Army HQ. Come to us to help us find my father and mother. Actually, while I found the last Dragon Ball, your father was also there and I picked him up. There was silence on the phone. Goku could feel the Bulma's anger and frustration from the other side of the phone permeate under his skin. You mean I have been out here in his hot sun and dusty debris for nothing? Nothing. Not wanting to deal with Bulma's increasing fury with his silence, Goku hung up immediately. Needless to say, he felt sorry for Yamcha and the others that will face her wrath. Coming from the lab, Goku saw Dr. Briefs and Panchi walk into the room. They looked as calm as ever despite everything that has happened. Mrs. Briefs? You were here the whole. Where? Oh Goku, just call me Panchi. My husband has a secret hiding space that he told me to go, while he went to destroy the radar. What a thoughtful man. There was even tea ready for me. Surprised at the fact that Panchi could just sit around with tea while everything was happening was less extreme than Dr. Briefs telling Bulma about the so-called safe room. After having a lovely time talking with the Briefs over a cup of tea, the ticking time bomb finally arrived. Coincidentally, Goku had to go to the restroom at the exact same time. What luck. Construction was happening all over Capsule Core with people coming and going. The dragon crew didn't want to disturb the entire town, so they all went to a nearby desert to summon the dragon. You want to know more about your race? Master Rashi was stroking his beard, accessing Goku's wish to see if it was worthy enough. As if he would do a worthy wish. Yeah. I know that I am different than everyone else, so I would like to know more about me and my body. Alright, let's do this.
I'm excited.
Krillin spoke for everyone here on their anticipation towards this event. Naturally, everyone here present besides Bulma and Goku has not seen a divine dragon. No reason for making them wait any longer. Goku adhered to their wishes and summoned Shenron. Eternal Shenron, by your name I summon you forth. Goku still couldn't believe that he was summoning a reality-bending dragon. Darkness spread originating from the Dragon Balls onto the bright sky. The Dragon Balls glowed ominously, once more illuminating the now dark atmosphere. A stream of a yellow light erupted from the Dragon Balls, forming the incredible dragon before them. Everyone was in awe at the grand display that loomed over them. The dragon's voice boomed over everyone, making sure that its might is asserted and heard. I am the eternal dragon Shenron. I can grant you one wish. State your wish. I would like a book of some kind containing all the information that is important for my race. From my body compared to humans to my history. Goku roared from the top of his lungs. What he is asking is only for information that Shenron should have, not any real reality-bending powers. The eyes of Shenron glowed an even brighter color of red as a glowing ball of light promptly floated above the dragon crew. It has been done. Farewell. After saying his short goodbye, Shenron converted back into a ball of light. The light went straight towards the Dragon Balls before they started to rise up to dash into the open sky. Before they can though, Goku leaped up and caught a random ball to store inside his pocket. The light slowly started to fade back into normalcy, ending the spectacular event. He wasn't much of a conversationalist. Oolong thought that knowing a dragon would give him brownie points with the ladies. Oh well, he can always lie. Technically, he did meet a dragon. Why did you grab a Dragon Ball, Goku? Krillin looked at Goku in confusion. Goku couldn't possibly be greedy enough for another wish. So if bad guys want to use the Dragon Balls, they will have to go through me. Even though Goku did want to abuse the Dragon Balls, this book will tell him if he would be able to or not. Ah, good idea. After the Red Ribbon Army incident, everyone realized how powerful and detrimental it would be if some evil entity obtained these Dragon Balls. Knock on wood. After suspending in the air for a little, a book descended from the air onto the hands of the waiting Goku. Everyone was curious about the contents, so Bulma erected a house for them to comfortably read. Rashi, Krillin, Yamcha, Puar, Oolong, Chi-Chi, Bulma, and Goku all entered the house, and the couches were able to hold them all with room to spare. Goku began reading the title and table of contents before actually starting the book. The book cover had a dragon that looked like Shenron surrounding its edge for all to see. The title of the book was called Information of the Saiyan Race. Straightforward and to the point. Opening the book that had that new book smell, he encountered the table of contents. Table of Contents, Part 1 History of the Saiyans. Chapter 1 Ancient Era.
Chapter 2 Prima Era.
Chapter 3 Downfall of the Saiyans. Part 2 Culture of the Saiyans. Chapter 4 Fighting Capabilities. Chapter 5 Biology. Chapter 6 Society. Part 3 Transformations of the Saiyans. Chapter 7 Ape Transformations. Chapter 8 Super Transformations. Chapter 9 God Transformation. Chapter 10 Combinations, Hybrids, and Others. Part 1 History of the Saiyans. Chapter 1 Ancient Era. Saiyans could be dated back to before age 300 or further back, residing in their homeworld, planet Sadala. Ancient Saiyans at their core were very primitive in their desire for violence and conflict. Their ki, as modern society has it, is fundamentally different from their descendants. Although their ki is different from each other, their usage of it is mostly the same besides the usage of some transformations. In the ancient era, due to their unruly and inhumane lifestyle, there rose a group of righteous Saiyans that tried to fight back against their own race to have them stop their ways. Their leader was named Yamoshi, and he held an incredible power to help stop their people. This was the power of the Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God. More detail in Part 3. With his noble heart, the transformations gave him an incredible boost of power that was able to push back his opposition, but it wasn't enough. Eventually, he destroyed himself with his own powers, leaving behind a legend and bloodthirsty race. Due to internal strife, planet of Sadala was destroyed, leaving the Saiyans homeless. Obtained by unknown means, a small group left on spacecraft in an unknown direction. Eventually, they made it to another planet, one that was already inhabited by a highly civilized race, Planet Plant, in age 550. The Tuffles that lived there welcomed their foreign invaders seemingly unconcerned because of their high technological standard. They lived there for decades in the wastelands, while the Tuffles lived in big cities with a high populace. Caving into their violent disposition, they started a war with the Tuffles in age 720, declaring to wipe them out. With their high population and high technology, they were able to combat the warrior race, causing a 10-long war. In age 730, a once-in-a-100-year event that allowed the Saiyans to finally throw the Tuffles into the drain. A full moon. Once in a full moon, Scions are able to use their unique biology to transform into great apes by looking at the full moon to absorb Blunt's waves. More detail in Part 3. Finally getting rid of their opposition, they renamed the planet to Planet Vegeta and inhabited and integrated the Tuffle's high technology to enhance their fighting experience. A notable piece of technology is the Scouter that is able to read another's power level. Approached by an alien race named the Arcosians, they were hired to invade and sell a planet to them in exchange for technology. Scions, using the Arcosians as a jump, started to conquer worlds and sell them to provide a suitable outlet for their destruction. This ushered in what is called the Prime Age or Modern Age of Scions, as they have gotten less barbaric while still retaining their need for fighting. Chapter 2 Prime Age. The Prime Age of Scions could be marked when they started to become world conquerors or when they were enlisted in the Cold's army. The Scions were enlisted to King Cold's army, the universe's emperor and biggest military in the universe, in age 731, only 1 year after their war with the Tuffles. Annexed into King Cold's army, later to be known as Frisia's army and empire in age 732, they were the top group in terms of their fighting prowess. Due to being able to grow stronger as they fight more, Scions were rising in power much faster and consistently. As Scions in this age, they were always discriminated against as unintelligent monkeys only useful for fighting. This fighting prowess and potential of the race had set the precedent for their doom. Chapter 3 Downfall of the Scions. Scions and their love for destruction would eventually lead them to their destruction. Frisia, who had the power of Scions many times over, was beginning to grow concerned because of the legend of the Super Scion. Yamoshi interference from long ago led the descendants of the barbaric Scions to perish. The god of destruction, Beerus, deemed Scions barbaric and annoying and called for their death. Frisia listened to his order fearing otherwise and on age 737, summoned all Scions to back to their homeworld. When all the Scions arrived, Frisia launched a devastating planet-destroying move to eradicate Planet Vegeta. A small group of Scions survived the genocide by being off-planet at the time. A notable Scion is named Bardock, who was the only one to try and stop the destruction despite doing nothing because of his low power. Part 2 Culture of the Scions. Chapter 4 Fighting Capabilities. Most Scions, although having a love for fighting and potential for power, very few Scions were considered prodigies. They were determined from birth their rank, and very few ascended those rankings later on. These included low-class, mid-class, and the elite. Most Scions are low-class and they stay there for all their life unless they can exponential growth later on. Low-class Scions dominated average jobs and only top low-class warriors fought in the front lines. Mid-class Scions dominated higher ranks such as generals in the Scion army. Elite Scions were very few and mostly are rulers or descendants of them. Some low-class Scions are made into infiltration babies. They are sent off to planets that have low powers as babies so they can conquer them. For low-class Scions, this is a sort of rite of passage. If they are successful, they are integrated into the army and receive great rewards. If a Scion achieves a near-death experience and survives, they would gain what is called a Zenkai boost. This boost will effectively make them stronger than they were before the experience without any side effects. Chapter 5 Biology. Babies in the Scion race are normally not nurtured by their parents but hibernates inside a healing pod since birth. As mentioned before, Scions uses Scouter technology to determine babies at birth to see what class they are in. Normal healthy Scions usually have a humanoid form with dark hair and dark eyes. These can be changed during transformations. They come in all sizes and sport a tail just above their rear that allows them to transform into a great ape. An untransformed Scion's hair does not change from birth, while they can grow facial hair but at a very slow rate. Scions as a warrior race stays in their prime fighting condition until they are 80 years of age. In their childhood, they stay small in size throughout their adolescence. When they achieve adulthood, they have a growth spurt to their prime. Scions are naturally resilient as their planet has high gravity and evolution made them more resistant to elements. Their tail is their natural weak spot but can be trained like any other muscle to eliminate that. Ingrained in their DNA, Scions are violent by nature but some are an exception to that. Scions normally have a high sex drive as adults but a low birth rate. With this and the rough activities of Scions, the Scion population was never able to grow large. Chapter 6 Society. Scion society as a whole is very cutthroat and looks out for yourself to deal with a few exceptions. Most Scions have a detached emotional base by choice. They do not share familiar love by choice, and strong-willed people are what Scions seek out for breeding purposes. Some jobs of Scions include technicians or lower-class jobs like a butcher. Their appetite is enormous and is found to eat almost anything presented to them. Part 3 Transformations of the Scions. Chapter 7 Ape Transformations. Widely known for their ape transformations, all Scions with tails can naturally transform with a full moon. Exposure to these Blutz waves allows Scions to tap into their simian roots, and the transformation is about controlling emotional anger. The first transformation is known as the Great Ape Transformation. The Scion body will spurt simian's characteristics and grow until they become a 15 to 20 meter ape with red eyes. With no proper training, this form will cause one to go berserk and rampage against enemies and allies. The known power gained from this transformation is x10 to your base form. The next step in ape transformation is a technique called perfect control. Perfect control also is used in all other transformations, allowing them to advance as well. When using perfect control on the great ape transformation, one will achieve the perfect ape transformation/ape transformation. This transformation reverts the scion back into a humanoid form while still retaining hair all over their body. One's power level will not increase, but with a humanoid body there is more physical and ki control compared to the great ape. Chapter 8: Super Transformations. Super transformations are the second branch of transformations that a scion can embark on. These transformations allow scions to tap into the height of raw power and is about righteousness and emotional release. To achieve the first transformation, the Super Scion transformation, one needs S-cells. All scions have S-cells and can transform into Super Scions. To obtain enough S-cells, one needs to have a gentle nature or increase in fighting power. If they experience a strong emotional trigger while having enough S-cells, one can transform into a Super Saiyan. S-cells are passed down to children, making it easier for them to transform. The first step in this branch of transformations is the normal Super Scion transformation. This transformation will greatly enhance all aspects of their body and ki to extraordinary heights. The said scion will have their hair be golden and standing while their iris turn a blue color. The known power gained from this transformation is x50 to your base form. When undergoing Super Scion, all violent dispositions of scion biology will be enhanced. By using perfect control, you will be able to control your emotions, normalize its increase of power, and transform to the next step. This stage called Perfect Super Scion. Before going to the next step, the Super Scion transformation has two subcategories. These subcategories are not actual transformations but applications to the Super Scion transformation. By forcefully injecting ki into muscles to inflate them, one can increase their power greatly and speed marginally. However, by doing this, you will lose an exponential amount of ki in return, and if in a prolonged state, one will be crippled for a short period of time. This form is called Super Scion Enhanced. By forcefully injecting more ki into one's muscles to inflate them, one will increase the first Super Scion transformation to its max potential. However, by doing this, you will lose an extreme amount of speed and stamina due to the muscles being inflated too much. In a prolonged state, one will be crippled for a short period of time due to stress on the body. This form is called Super Scion Maxed. The next step in the Super Scion transformations is the true Super Scion transformation. To achieve this transformation, you will need to have done perfect control and achieved perfect Super Scion. After this, you will need another emotional trigger or intense training to make the breakthrough. This transformation is 2x stronger than Super Scion, x100 to base. In all fighting aspects, electrical currents will circulate around the body, making the hair grow even pointer. This transformation marks the end of the Super Scion transformations. But there is one more special step that one can take to forcefully increase one's power. Similar to Super Scion Enhanced and Maxed, this is an incomplete step to forcefully increase your power. However, due to its enormous power buff and only one limiter, it can also be considered a step. It is the Beyond Super Scion transformation. To achieve this form, will have needed to achieve true Super Scion and encounter a special circumstance while having intense training. This transformation is 4x stronger than true Super Scion, x400 to base. In all fighting aspects, one's hair will grow longer if not so already, and their eyebrows would disappear. This transformation's major drawback is its usage of ki and its dependency on it compared to the other forms that stress the body. Due to this, ki will deplete abnormally fast, making the transformation short but powerful. Chapter 9: God Transformation. The last and most powerful branch that a scion can use is the Scion God transformation. This branch only includes one transformation but is unique compared to the others. To achieve this transformation, a ritual where one needs to have 5 righteous scions infuse their righteousness into their target, making that person a Super Scion God. Another method is to have a divine individual train you and long exposure to divine ki. The Scion God transformation is the strongest form a scion can take without any combinations of branches. The God form uses God ki instead of normal ki, making the form extremely more powerful. One has to keep doing to God ritual to regain their godly form unless they are able to integrate God ki into their body. Doing such a thing is a near impossible task. Chapter 10: Combinations, Hybrids, and Others. Combination is the process of combining different branches to have a multiplied powered form that has characteristics of all the branches that are used. Combinations are widely unknown territory, but it is theorized that it is possible to combine any form to another. Hybrids of scions has a higher battle potential than normal scions do. There are strict breeding regulations because scions in the Prime Era were afraid of being overrun and outpowered by hybrids. It is unknown if hybrids are able to achieve all transformations that normal scions do or if they have more. There are exceptions to transformations depending on special individuals. One such example is the legendary Super Scion who has 2 forms, Super Saiyan and Legendary Super Saiyan. There may be other special transformations that are unique that are unknown at the moment.